last month, you guys had some great teachable moments with the family and some aha moments even. And when you guys were discussing what emotions are and how to self-manage them in different situations. This month, we'll add self-direction to the concept of self-management. Don't you love the word self? Cook it yourself. Wash it yourself. You see, I'm trying to get some rest. Do it yourself. Oh, wait. Hold your horses. Before you go telling the kids to beat it and get out of your face, let's talk about what self-direction really is and how we can be relaxed and at ease, knowing they're self-directing themselves and they're learning the right way. Hey, parent family. It's Pam Witt for March's Parent Night Out. Don't you wish your kids would do their e-learning on their own and not bother you? Well, in today's parent session, we're going to talk about how one of the concepts of social emotional learning and teaching can help get you a little bit closer to that goal. Stay with me. We have to teach self-direction, and we've got to motivate the kids to actually do it. Self-direction is simply choosing when and how you'll learn outside of class time. That's it. It's not some super crazy concept, but you want your kids to be able to initiate their own learning. They know what they need to do, and we need to give them the motivation to want to do it without us having to be on their backs constantly to get them to do it. Simple self-direction. Asking yourself how you will complete the goals you've set for yourself or the goals that will get you to the next grade. Sometimes we set our own goals based off what we want or based off what we want from somebody. Learning is a kid's primary activity. It's like all they have to do. Eat, play, learn, sleep, repeat. So it can get really boring really fast when that's all you do for the most part. I'm sure it's very stressful as well, adding a global pandemic to it. So it's up to us to try to keep not only ourselves motivated, but to keep our children motivated as well. When you tell them why they're learning, this can get them fired up to want to do it themselves. You can talk with them about immediate rewards of learning, and then some of those long-term rewards of learning. In middle school, it's a little easier than high school, but there's so many incentives to offer kids. And I'm not talking about stuff you got to go out and buy. I mean, life changes, that's going to happen inevitably that kids get really excited about. We did too, until we actually start living life. And it was like, wow, wish I could be 20 again, but with this brain. So let me give you 4 tips or strategies for how to motivate your kids into self-direction, self-monitoring, and learning on their own. Doesn't mean you won't have to help, but it will definitely maybe throw a couple of extra minutes in there for you to do something that you want to do, or just even have some self-care, spend some time with yourself. The first strategy for getting kids motivated into self-direction is teaching them or reteaching them the process of learning. So when you learn to add and subtract, you later learn to multiply and divide. You can't go on to multiplication and division unless you've learned adding and subtracting. So what we learn stacks. That never really changes in life. That continues on throughout our whole life. Even just going to the grocery store. We used to use cash. Then we started using debits. We had gift cards. We were on a learning curve all the time. Everybody is always learning. All the time. So it's important to teach the kids that this is a process that everybody has to do, not just you. It's your primary activity, but I have to do 19 other activities and still learn too. So teaching them the process of learning can be inspirational to some kids. You know, let's take a second grader who's learning something that has to be understood before they can move on to third grade. So you get them so excited and you're like, you're going to be in third grade next year. You better make sure you know that. Are you sure? You sure you got it? You want me to help you? What? Getting them fired up about the next grade can sometimes be all it takes for them to say, Mom, I'm going to go and read this book. And you might be like, is that my kid? Okay. Because you told them that reading is going to help them in third grade. And they can't wait to get out of second grade. That pretty much works all through grammar school if you try it. High school, that starts to get a little tougher. But it's a great incentive to show them what the next grade looks like. Because guarantee you, they're in the building looking at that next grade. Kids always do that, especially in School District 132, because you get to take advantage of this in 3 different buildings. All the kids want to go to the next building, Some have a little angst about it. That's another video. But typically they're excited to go to the bigger grades. I'm older than those little guys, and it's a great incentive to tell them, like, they work really hard over at Burr Oak. I hope you, really ask for everything you need at Burr Oak Academy. Make sure you're doing some extra reading. Make sure you study outside, after class is over, you do your studying. It's a great incentive to keep them turned on to school and keep their focus on graduating to the next grade. The second strategy is in teaching self-direction is a little broader, but similar to the first concept of education stacking. This is you helping them understand that all the learning in primary and middle school gets them into high school. I know you guys see the 5th and 6th and 7th graders, how they look with such respect at a lot of the 8th graders. And they can't wait to get in 8th grade because they know the 8th graders are finally leaving and they're going to high school. Like, high school is like the holy grail for grammar schoolers. A lot of them think that means they're grown. and whatever you guys have allowed them to think, about high school. But almost every kid is excited to go to high school. And so that's a great incentive to get them to learning, so that they make it there and they make it there successfully, encouraging them to study more for the upcoming tests that they'll have to take and things like that. Constantly reminding them of what's going to happen in high school. They're going to learn so much more, not in a pressure way, but in an incentive kind of way. Like, you're going to learn so much in high school because they teach this, and you can play this sport or this instrument, or it's so many different things you can do in high school. So, but you got to be on those books. You got to study, even when me or the teacher, aren't around. You have the responsibility of making sure that you have the work you need. And if you can't get it, ask for it. We talked about that in last month's video on social emotional learning. If you missed it, it's still up. Just take a look at it, and it can help understand this concept as well. The third strategy is ensuring you have helped them find the resources that they need to do their own self-direction. So, like that crazy lady earlier in the video, you can't just say, you do it. You have to make sure that they have the tools they need to get it done. So that may mean searching out some websites that are grade and age appropriate, that that they can get some of the same content, maybe explained in a different way. or even more content if you have a kid that's moving a little faster. And they can always go back and look at some concepts that maybe they didn't quite get a handle on. They can spend some self-directed time re-upping the knowledge or strengthening that knowledge on particular concepts. So making sure that you have a list for them, some websites that they can go and get the information that they need. Also, making sure that they understand how to search a topic. I think this is something that might be missed, but the internet is a giant black hole of information. And so just simply being able to do a Google search or search something on YouTube, using specific keywords, learning how to use a language that will bring up the information that they need. Maybe we assume that kids know this. A lot of them do, because our generation of kids now, the last two actually, are very tech savvy. But when it comes to their schoolwork, maybe not so much. So showing them actually how to sit down and do a search for information that they need might be 5 or 10 minutes that can buy you an hour or two, of them self-directing their own learning. So making sure that they have some websites and making sure that they know how to search for the information that they need to get their work done. It's always great when kids can work autonomously. Of course, you want to make sure that they're searching the right things and they are actually getting the information they need. But self-direction is just a really important part of being a lifelong learner. And like I said before, you're still learning right now, whether you know it or not. Everything that's happening in our world today, we're all on a learning curve. So we are constantly having to learn, which means you constantly have to keep an open mind, and you constantly have to be prepared to go out and find the information that you need. So it's a great tool that you can give your kid that might take you all of 5 or 10 minutes to teach them, and that's how to safely use the internet and search for the information that they need. Searching yourself to make sure that you have provided them with some staple websites like Khan Academy. They have YouTube and a website, different sites like that. I'm sure the school has a list on their website of some resources that you can go to and actually use to help them with their classroom content. The fourth and the last strategy that I have for you guys to help get your kid a little more focused on self-direction is teaching them about self-care. For some kids, this might be a little harder than others because some kids work their butts to the bone and they actually don't take too much time for themselves. And we have to be mindful to watch for that. It's great if your kid's getting all A's and doing great, but you also have to be mindful that they're taking some time for themselves to watch a crazy TV show or take a bubble bath or something, talking with friends, doing something that is giving them some decompression time, And so self-care is something important. I know it's a trigger hot word for everybody, but it is really something that we all need to be doing. And just because kids just go to school and that's all you got to do, that's stressful for a kid. They don't have the thicker skin we have that, had you living on this earth for 20, 30, 40, 50 years or so already. They're new to this, And so they have to learn through us that, hey, you have to work hard. You have to do what you're told, but you also have to take some time for yourself in a, of course, parent-approved way. But absolutely have to have some time for themselves. Also, teaching them self-care is a strategy that teaches them to separate work time from playtime. And it can teach them a balance that they may have all of their lives. So teach them how to take care of themselves. Find out what it is they like to do. Most times we already know. Some kids just want to lay on the couch and flip on a remote. They're not even looking at anything, but just to have time that they are letting their brain just kind of dump, is good. So if they have completed their class time, did some study time. It may take a while to get them to self-direct their own, learning. But if you talk with them about it, you make sure that they understand that self-care is their separate time. It's their own time to do what they want. Some kids want a video game during that time. Whatever helps you decompress. As long as you did that class time, that study time, and some additional self-directed learning. Falls right in line with self-management. And you have to manage your academic life. It's my job to supervise that and to help you with that as a parent. But ultimately, your education will lie in your hands. And it's important for us to tell them, again, what those immediate goals are, those immediate benefits are of self-direction, and those long-term benefits are for self-direction. So, great conversation for you guys to have with your family, talking about learning on your own. You can even equate it to some of the things that you do for them, that they just kind of think magically happens, like their laundry and things like that. That you show them that you manage your time. You work, you take care of your family, you do cleaning, you do all these things. This is what we're teaching them to do. And we're showing them that in middle school in primary and in middle school, your education is pretty much my responsibility, helping you get to a place where you can self-direct. When you get to high school, you'll have a little more responsibility, especially as it pertains to self-direction. And if you can manage that right, it can mean a driver's license, it can mean a car, it can mean hanging out with your friends a little longer, it can mean more game time, it can mean whatever those rewards and incentives are to you and your family. So if we can take some time teaching them this, then we get to have more time to ourselves. And is that not the ultimate goal? For kids to just do their homework and leave you alone. As long, again, as it's being done in a positive and successful, way. We do not want them on their own and then they busting all F's and then we want to whoop them and you ain't did nothing to help them. That is not the goal here. So I also want you guys to keep in mind that teaching them to be self-directed, academics are always going to be in some form technology related. I'm certain all of you know now that this is what the future of education is going to look like. There are going to be hybrid programs pretty much across the country. And so children are going to need to become more and more tech savvy, which in turn is teaching us, some parents who weren't into tech, it's teaching us to become quite proficient, learning skills that we didn't necessarily have before. I remember when my youngest daughter came home with the iPad, and I'm pretty savvy with a computer, but the tablets I really was not a fan of, and I don't like all that touching. I like buttons. But it was a learning curve for me, and I learned it with her. And then, who knew? Now you go in the store and everything is everything is touch. They make me ring up my own stuff and jewels because the lines are too long. So I'm just like, beep it. We're all learning all the time. And the more efficient we can make learning and the more self-directed we can make ourselves and our children, the more successful we'll all be at it. So that's the grade 4 strategies I have for teaching your kids to be more self-directed, whilst penciling in some more time for yourself at the same time. Encourage your children to be more dependent, self-directed learners, and take a few minutes, please, to post a comment in the comment section below, because those are just some great ideas that I came up with from research. How about some great ideas that you guys have at home? Share them with your fellow parents below, and let's see some more great ideas for giving kids incentives to self-direct their learning. incentives for, well, not incentives, but motivation to get them going on being a self-directed learner. And let's get a conversation started and see how we can help each other in this new academic environment. Hybrid learning, learning online, it's here to stay. Standardized tests, I hear, are definitely going to be pushed for next school year. And we need to make sure that our children are ready for those tests, because I'm pretty sure that their next move in their academic life may be impacted by the scores on that test. So we really need to work hard as parents and as a community as a whole to communicate with each other and go on and start sharing some ideas and tips and strategies with each other, so that we can have a successful comeback from this very difficult school year. I look forward to talking to you guys next month for next month's Parent Night Out. I hope you took away something very valuable that will help you and your family and your academic journey with your children. And have a good night. Bye-bye.